Good evening, everyone. Let's start by talking about something we've all experienced: betrayal, not the accidental missteps, not the misunderstandings, but the kind of betrayal that feels like a knife sharpened and deliberate, the kind that leaves you questioning your own worth. Now, I know we're taught to forgive. Forgiveness is noble, right? It's freeing, it's healing, and it's for us, not them. But here's the thing: there's a difference between forgiveness and access. You can forgive someone and still decide that they no longer deserve a place in your life. Why? Because not everyone stumbles into hurting you. Some people do it with intent. They manipulate, deceive, and destroy trust knowingly, purposefully. They calculate their actions, fully aware of the consequences they'll leave behind. And if you allow these people back into your life without boundaries, what you're saying is, my pain is negotiable, my worth is optional. But let me be clear, your worth is non-negotiable. It is not up for debate, and it certainly isn't something anyone should feel they can gamble with. There's a lesson here, and it's not about vengeance or holding on to anger. It's about recognizing who deserves your energy, your kindness, and your time. Some people will take advantage of second chances, not to rebuild trust, but to reinforce their control. These people don't need another opportunity to prove who they are. They've already shown you. Choosing not to give someone a second chance isn't an act of cruelty, it's an act of self-respect. It's standing in your truth and saying, I believe in the value of my own heart. I believe in protecting my peace. And here's the truth that stings at first, but ultimately sets you free. Not everyone deserves a front row seat to your life. Some people, after they've shown their true colors, belong in the background or out of the picture entirely. Forgiveness is a powerful tool for healing. It's about releasing the grip that anger, resentment, or betrayal can have on your heart. But there's something often misunderstood when it comes to forgiveness. It is not synonymous with granting access. We tend to think that forgiving someone means letting them back into our lives, offering them a seat at the table, or opening the door wide to let them hurt us again. But that's not forgiveness, it's permission. Forgiving someone is an internal process. It's about freeing yourself from the weight of the pain they caused. It's about acknowledging that holding on to hatred or resentment doesn't hurt them. It only continues to poison your own well-being. When you forgive, you take the chains off your heart. But that doesn't mean you have to allow them to re-enter your life and continue to wreak havoc. There's a big difference between healing and accepting the same treatment that once broke you. The notion that forgiving someone means offering them another chance to harm you is a dangerous and misguided belief. You can forgive them, you can let go of the negative emotions they triggered, and you can still choose to guard your peace by refusing to allow them back in. Forgiveness is about finding peace within yourself, not about making them feel better or giving them a free pass to do it again. It's about understanding that you are not doing it for them, you're doing it for you. That the access they once had, the opportunity to hurt you again, that is not an automatic consequence of your forgiveness. We must learn to draw a line between forgiveness and continued exposure to harm. Some people don't need another chance to make things right. Some people simply need to be shown that their actions have consequences and that your heart is not a playground for their recklessness. Forgiving doesn't mean you have to keep walking the same path with them. It means acknowledging that their wrongs no longer define your emotional state. But giving them access to your life again, after they've intentionally damaged you, would only mean that you've failed to set the boundary you deserve to protect yourself. Intentional harm is something far more insidious than accidental hurt. It's when someone acts with purpose, with awareness, and with full knowledge of the damage they're causing. This is the kind of harm that stings deeply because it's not a mistake or a misunderstanding. It's a choice, a decision made often with full clarity to exploit, manipulate, or wound someone for their own benefit or out of a sense of power or control. What makes intentional harm so devastating is that it shatters the trust we place in others. Trust isn't something we give lightly, especially when we've been vulnerable or open. It's the foundation of relationships, whether they are friendships, romantic relationships, or even professional bonds. When someone intentionally causes harm, they do more than just hurt us in the moment. They unravel that foundation and leave us questioning not only them, but also our own ability to judge people, to see the truth, and to protect ourselves. The pain from intentional harm isn't just physical or emotional, it also runs deep into the psyche. When someone hurts you on purpose, they alter your perception of the world and people around you. You may find yourself second-guessing motives, wondering if others are capable of the same cruelty, and living with a lingering sense of caution that you didn't carry before. The damage is not just to your heart, but also to your peace of mind, your sense of security, and your trust in others. What makes this kind of harm particularly hard to process is that it's not always easy to see coming. People who intentionally harm others are often skilled at hiding their true intentions behind a mask of charm, manipulation, or deceit. They know how to make you feel special, how to make you trust them, and how to lower your guard. But once their true motives are revealed, it becomes clear that their actions were calculated all along. They may gaslight you, make you question your perception of the events that unfolded, or even shift the blame onto you, making it seem like you were the one who caused the harm. It's a tactic that makes you doubt your own reality and reopens wounds you thought were healing. The emotional toll can be exhausting, and even when the harm is over, the scars remain. Recognizing intentional harm is an important step in protecting yourself. It's about seeing the red flags and not ignoring them, trusting your gut when something feels off, and understanding that some people will go to great lengths to manipulate or control others. The intent behind their actions isn't to seek resolution or reconciliation, it's to win, to dominate, or to exploit. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. This type of harm isn't just an unfortunate incident. It's a pattern. It's a reflection of someone's character, their disregard for your boundaries, and their willingness to cause suffering for their own gain. It's not a misstep that can be easily forgiven or overlooked because it wasn't an accident. It was an intentional choice made with full awareness of the impact it would have on you. The hardest part about intentional harm is that it's often a violation of the most fundamental principles of human decency. It's the act of seeing someone's vulnerability and exploiting it for personal gain, knowing full well the damage it will cause. It's betrayal at the deepest level, and it's not something that can be easily undone by an apology or a promise of change. When someone harms you intentionally, they've shown you who they are, and that knowledge is difficult to forget. Boundaries are not just rules we set to keep others at a distance. They are a deep reflection of our self-worth and self-respect. They are an expression of how much we value ourselves and what we are willing to accept in our lives. When we set boundaries, we are not merely pushing people away or creating barriers. We are affirming to ourselves that we deserve to be treated with dignity, care, and respect. We are telling the world that we understand our value and that we will not tolerate anything less than what we deserve. Often we think of boundaries as something to protect us from others, but in reality, boundaries protect us from ourselves. They are a safeguard to our own emotional, mental, and physical well-being. Without boundaries, we risk losing ourselves. We risk becoming so enmeshed with the needs, expectations, and desires of others that we forget our own needs. We allow ourselves to be consumed by others' demands, which slowly erodes our sense of identity, worth, and inner peace. Setting boundaries is a way of saying I matter. It's an act of honoring your own needs, desires, and limitations. It's about recognizing that you cannot pour from an empty cup, and that taking care of yourself isn't selfish, it's essential. Boundaries give you the freedom to be your authentic self without feeling pressured to sacrifice your core values or compromise on your self-respect. People often misunderstand the power of boundaries. They may see them as something rigid or harsh, or even as an act of exclusion. But boundaries are not about keeping people out. They are about drawing clear lines that help us navigate relationships and interactions with others in healthy ways. Boundaries help us maintain our energy, focus, and peace. They give us permission to say no without guilt, to prioritize ourselves without shame, and to protect our emotional space without apology. When you set boundaries, you are not being difficult or demanding. You are simply asserting that your heart, mind, and body are precious, and that no one has the right to violate them. You are teaching others how to treat you, and you are showing them that you will not tolerate behavior that diminishes your worth or compromises your peace. Boundaries also allow you to have more meaningful and respectful relationships. When we don't have boundaries, relationships often become imbalanced. We either give too much of ourselves away or allow others to take too much. But when we set clear boundaries, we create space for mutual respect, understanding, and care. We allow ourselves to love and care for others without losing ourselves in the process. But setting boundaries isn't always easy. It requires courage and strength, especially when we're faced with individuals who may not respect our limits or try to push them. It's uncomfortable to stand up for yourself, to say no when you're used to saying yes, or to walk away from relationships that no longer serve you. But the more you practice setting boundaries, the more you realize that it's not only an act of self-care, but also an act of self-respect. In fact, the more you respect yourself and your own needs, the more you will attract people who do the same. Boundaries are not just about protecting yourself from harm. They are about creating an environment in which you can thrive, grow, and be your best self. When you set boundaries, you invite healthier, more fulfilling relationships into your life, relationships built on mutual respect, trust, and understanding. And here's something important to understand. Setting boundaries doesn't make you a bad person, and it doesn't mean you don't care about others. In fact, it shows that you care deeply about yourself and that you are willing to prioritize your own well-being. Boundaries are a way of taking responsibility for your own happiness and peace of mind. They help you maintain a healthy balance in your relationships and ensure that you are giving from a place of abundance, not depletion. By setting and maintaining boundaries, you create the space to heal, to grow, and to become the person you were always meant to be. It's a continual act of self-respect and self-love that shows you are worthy of the best that life has to offer. Your worth is non-negotiable. It is intrinsic, unshakable, and cannot be diminished by anyone else's perception or treatment of you. In a world that often tries to measure your value by external standards, your appearance, your achievements, your success, or the approval of others, it is crucial to remember that your true worth is not defined by these fleeting and superficial markers. You are valuable simply because you exist, because you are human, and because you have inherent dignity that cannot be stripped away by circumstances or other people's actions. In a society that often equates self-worth with productivity, perfection, or popularity, it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that your value can be negotiated or earned. We are taught to strive for acceptance, to please others, and to measure our worth by the praise we receive or the validation we seek. But your worth is not something to be earned or won through external achievements. It's something you carry within you from the moment you are born, and it doesn't change based on what you accomplish or how others treat you. It is steady, constant, and unchanging, no matter the circumstances. When you start to internalize this truth, it shifts everything. You begin to approach life from a place of confidence, grounded in the certainty that you are enough as you are. No one's opinion, no matter how critical or dismissive, can alter the fact that your worth is already established. You are not dependent on anyone else's approval to know that you matter. Your value does not fluctuate with the tides of other people's opinions or behaviors. When you truly understand that your worth is non-negotiable, you stop allowing others to treat you in ways that diminish you. You stop allowing toxic people to undermine your self-esteem or to dictate how you should feel about yourself. You stop accepting less than you deserve because you realize that you are worthy of respect, kindness, and love, not because of what you do for others, but because of who you are. You don't need to prove your worth to anyone because it is already a given. This realization also becomes a powerful foundation for setting healthy boundaries. When you understand that your worth is non-negotiable, you stop tolerating behavior that devalues you. You stop allowing people to take advantage of your kindness, your time, or your energy. You begin to protect your peace, knowing that your self-respect is sacred. You don't allow anyone to cross lines that you've set to protect your emotional, mental, and physical well-being. Your worth is not contingent upon your relationships, your accomplishments, or how well you meet others' expectations. You are valuable simply because you exist and because you bring something unique to the world that no one else can replicate. Your essence cannot be measured by societal standards, and no matter how others may try to diminish or overlook it, it remains. When you own your worth, you don't settle for relationships or situations that chip away at your sense of self. You don't give people power over your self-esteem because you understand that your worth is not up for negotiation. This sense of self-assurance doesn't come from arrogance, but from the deep inner knowledge that you are worthy of love, respect, and dignity just as you are. And when you live from this truth, your life begins to reflect that reality. You begin to attract people who see you for who you truly are, and you let go of those who treat you as though your worth can be bargained or diminished. You stop compromising yourself in order to fit into places or situations that don't honor you. The world may try to tell you otherwise, but your worth is constant, unchanging, and cannot be bought, sold, or diminished by any circumstance or person. It is not something you have to earn, nor is it something anyone can take from you. Once you embrace this truth, you begin to live from a place of deep empowerment, free from the constant need for validation or approval. Your worth is non-negotiable, and once you truly understand this, everything else in life becomes easier to navigate. Not everyone deserves a second chance. This is a harsh truth, but it's one we often overlook in the name of kindness, compassion, or the desire to believe that people can change. We tell ourselves that if we give someone another opportunity, they'll show us they've learned from their mistakes or that they genuinely regret their actions. We believe that redemption is a right, not a privilege, and that it's our duty to give others a shot at reconciliation. But the reality is far more complicated. When someone has hurt you, when they've damaged your trust, your heart, or your sense of security, that damage isn't automatically erased by a promise to do better. A second chance isn't just about a clean slate. It's about assessing the situation with clarity and recognizing that not everyone will use that opportunity to build something better. Some people will simply take advantage of your willingness to forgive and exploit it for their own benefit, repeating the same hurtful behaviors that left you broken the first time. It's important to acknowledge that forgiveness doesn't mean you're obligated to continue to open the door for people who have shown a consistent disregard for your boundaries, your feelings, or your well-being. Giving someone a second chance isn't a duty, it's a choice. And that choice should be made thoughtfully, not out of guilt, fear, or a misplaced sense of responsibility. People who hurt us repeatedly, people who knowingly damage us, don't necessarily deserve our trust again. Trust is not something that can be given back lightly once it has been broken. When we allow someone to hurt us multiple times and offer them endless chances to do it again, we devalue our own worth. We send a message to ourselves and to others that our pain isn't important enough to be protected, that we're willing to accept behavior that harms us simply because we want to be compassionate or because we're afraid of conflict. But true compassion doesn't come at the expense of your peace. It's about valuing yourself enough to understand that some relationships, no matter how much you wish they could be different, are simply not worth the emotional investment. Not everyone can handle the trust and the space you offer. Some people will misuse it, and it's vital to recognize when it's time to let go, to walk away, and to choose healthier, more supportive connections instead. In the end, the decision to give someone a second chance isn't just about the person who hurt you. It's about you. It's about what you're willing to tolerate, what you endure, and how much of yourself you're prepared to give to someone who has already shown that they can't treat you with the respect you deserve. Choosing to not offer a second chance is not an act of cruelty, it's an act of self-preservation. It's a reminder that you have the power to set the terms of your own healing and that you are worthy of relationships that honor rather than diminish your value. Bravery in letting go is often misunderstood. It's not about abandoning a person or a relationship without care or thought. It's about making the difficult yet necessary decision to protect yourself, even when it feels like you're walking away from something you deeply valued. Letting go takes courage because it involves facing the unknown, the discomfort of change, and the possibility of loss. But it is, in fact, one of the most empowering decisions you can make for your own well-being. It's easy to hold on. It's comfortable to stay in familiar situations, even when they're painful. The fear of the unknown, the uncertainty of what comes next, makes us want to cling to what we know, even if it's toxic, unfulfilling, or harmful. We tell ourselves that things will get better, that we can weather the storm, or that maybe, just maybe, the person who has hurt us will change. But sometimes that belief keeps us stuck. Sometimes it's not about things getting better, it's about things being the way they are, and accepting that change is necessary for growth and healing. Choosing to let go of something or someone that no longer serves you is an act of great courage. It's recognizing that your peace, your emotional health, and your future are more important than staying in a situation that diminishes your worth. It's saying goodbye to patterns that have hurt you, to people who have betrayed your trust, or to environments that have stifled your growth. This decision is not made lightly, and it often requires more bravery than staying, because staying feels safe, even if it means sacrificing your happiness. When you let go, you are stepping into the unknown, and that can be a frightening place. The familiarity of the past, the comfort of old patterns, and the attachment to what was can make it feel like you're losing a part of yourself. But in reality, letting go is often the first step toward rediscovery. It's a process of clearing space for new opportunities, new people, and a new version of yourself. It's about choosing to trust that what lies ahead is far better than what you leave behind. But that trust doesn't come easily. It takes bravery to believe in your own worth and to know that you deserve more than what you've been given. Letting go also requires us to face the discomfort of change. Change is never easy, especially when it means reconfiguring your life in ways you hadn't planned. It's about breaking free from the relationships, the habits, and the environments that you once thought were permanent fixtures. The process of release isn't quick, it's often messy, painful, and accompanied by self-doubt. You'll question whether you're making the right decision, whether you'll regret it, or whether you've made a mistake. But that's part of the journey. It's in the uncertainty that you grow, in the discomfort that you evolve. And then there's the emotional toll of letting go. When we let go of something or someone, we often mourn the loss of what we thought could have been. We mourn the future we imagined, the potential we once saw, and the hope that things would improve. There is grief in letting go, and that grief is valid. It's natural to feel sadness, to feel conflicted, and to want to turn back. But bravery lies not in staying when everything inside you tells you to leave. Bravery lies in facing the pain of letting go, allowing yourself to grieve, and continuing to move forward even when it feels hard. In letting go, we also reclaim our power. We stop waiting for others to change, to meet our expectations, or to validate our worth. We stop looking outside of ourselves for the answers, and instead we look inward, finding the strength to take control of our own lives. Letting go is a declaration that we trust ourselves, enough to know that we are capable of navigating the future, even without the things or people that once defined us. It's about realizing that we are whole on our own, and that we don't need to settle for less than what we truly deserve. Ultimately, bravery in letting go is about honoring yourself. It's the courage to say, I am worthy of more, even when it's hard to walk away. It's about trusting that the future holds something better for you, something more aligned with who you are becoming. Letting go is not about failure, it's about recognizing when something or someone is no longer serving your highest good and having the courage to release it. And in that release, there is a freedom and strength that you may not have known you possessed. In conclusion, the journey of setting boundaries, recognizing intentional harm, protecting your worth, and knowing when to let go is a deeply personal one. It's a path that demands courage, honesty, and an unwavering commitment to self-respect. The choices we make in these moments, whether to forgive, whether to offer a second chance, or whether to walk away, are not signs of weakness or bitterness, but of strength and self-preservation. You have the power to protect your peace, to stand firm in your truth, and to demand the respect you deserve. Understand that not everyone is meant to stay in your life, and some people's actions reveal that they are not worth your time, your energy, or your heart. Your worth is non-negotiable, and anyone who intentionally damages you is not entitled to a second chance. In the face of difficulty, in the face of loss, in the face of uncertainty, let your bravery guide you. Let go of what no longer serves you, and trust that by doing so, you are creating space for new beginnings, for healthier relationships, and for a future that truly honors your heart. You are worthy of love, of respect, and of peace, and no one, no matter the history you share, should ever make you question that. Keep moving forward with courage, knowing that by protecting yourself, you are building the life you deserve. Thank you.